Hello everybody, PsyStarcraft here with another Heart of the Swarm commentary. Back to my original mic until I figure out the whole vibration dealio that a couple of you helped me out with. I do appreciate the messages and tips that you all gave me. But this is a Zerg versus Protoss on some map. Belshire Village, is it called? I don't even know. And look at this weird thing that happens. Boop, 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 boop. So weird. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why this is happening. Boop, 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 boop. I don't even know, but hopefully I'll figure out what the heck is going on there. Anyway, my opponent is JayB in the top left. The map is Belshire Village. And last game, ZvP didn't go so well, did it? I definitely could have played much better. I just realized, like, after actually laddering a lot, now that Heart of the Swarm is out, how much talking while playing affects you. It's much more difficult than I thought it was, because when I play on ladder without talking to you guys, without commentating, like during live games, I play so shitty. I forget so many things. I'm too busy like figuring out what to say to actually play the game. Like, can you imagine actual pro players having to like say everything they're doing while they're playing the game? It's insane, but you know, I do it for the love of you guys, so that's always good. Anyway, my opponent has opened up with a pylon first. I do like to go hatch first whenever I can, but against Protoss they're going to send an early probe, and they're usually going to be able to block that hatchery. So as you can see right there, he's going to be doing that, and I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to go with a 14 pool and just try to do a pretty standard 3-hatch build before gas. Now, I'm not an expert at this build, so don't copy it by any means. Don't copy it to a T. And in this game in particular, you're going to see that I struggle a lot with scouting. And I'll be going over that as it occurs, but the reason for this is basically I don't have the smooth timings to my Overlord speed build, and I don't position my Overlords as well as I could, so that you can see that JayB is going to be blocking off that pylon. The pool was on 14, so it's not going to remain there for that long. One option I do have is to expand up here, but because my pool is at 14, I'm just going to choose to get the lings out and take a little bit later expansion that's a little bit safer as opposed to taking this, which is much more vulnerable. Against Protoss, you can send out your first Overlord to their natural expansion, see kind of what order they're getting the buildings. Usually they're going to be building their choke right around here. Sometimes it'll be Pylon Forge Nexus, sometimes it'll be Pylon Nexus Forge, sometimes it'll be like Gateway Nexus or Nexus Gateway. It all kind of lets you know like what route they're going to be taking. So in this route, he's playing a little bit safe because my pool was earlier than a 15 hatch by getting the Forge first, and then he's going to be getting the Nexus Gateway, then Cannon. So this is pretty much the timing that he wanted to do considering the build I was doing. So that pylon did finally go down, hatchery on the way. And like I said, I'm not going to be getting any gas because I do want to take my third pretty quickly here. His Overlord now moving out of range of the cannon. He's going to be prepared to swoop on in and try to check out what my opponent is going to be teching to. These lings just kind of eyeing the outskirts, make sure no probe gets by, although this guy is still just kind of chilling out. And this Sling is going to be holding the tower for a while. Second Queen has now popped from the initial hatchery. Oh, they were having some little Congo butt sex action right there. Second Queen has popped out, third is on the way, and I'm just continuing to drone hard. Obviously, I am oversaturated at my main, so I want to do a transfer once this hatchery comes up, and this hatchery is going to be going down shortly, as you can see here. And the reason... Oh, is that out of range? I don't think that's out of range, is it? No, I think that's the right location. But the reason you don't want to get gas this early is because, believe it or not, getting an extractor uses a drone, and putting 3 drones on that geyser significantly reduces the amount of minerals you get. I know it's only 3 drones, but you'd be surprised if you like check out resource comparisons or the resource tab or whatever, how much 3 drones, or 4 drones total I suppose, on a geyser can affect you in the early game. And if that was the case, I wouldn't be getting this hatchery. I would be spending my minerals on upgrades that required gas and stuff like that, so it would change your economy a lot. So it's no small thing when you see like players pull 2 drones off gas after Zergling speed and stuff like that. It's actually pretty significant, and it works into builds. So as you can see here, Zealot trying to take control of the tower. I'm going to be microing my lings back, doing as much damage as I can to the Zealot. Actually losing 1 ling there, just barely, and his Stalker is going to come and reinforce. So 68 damage on the Zealots in exchange for 1 ling is just fine, but of course I'm not managing those other lings at all, and they all 3 go down. So the Zealot does all the damage, and the Stalker is an asshole and takes all the glory. Still no gas up, just now getting the 2 geysers, Roach Warren on the way. And here's where I'm going to swoop in with my overlords and see if he's going to be throwing down a bunch of gateways, try for some kind of timing. And you can see he's floating a lot of money, so I feel like at this point he's going to be revealing his tech, and there it is. There's the Twilight Council, a pylon going up, and not seeing anything with this overlord. And this was really frustrating to me. Like, I knew I was kind of playing a little bit out of my element. I don't know my 14 pool 3 hatch build as well as I should, considering it's pretty much the standard in ZvT, and I just couldn't get good scouting in. I didn't see anything with that overlord. I can't really get any lings in. No other overlords are in position, and things just aren't really going real great for me besides the harvester count. I'm so in the dark right now, even though I'm actually joining up really well. I don't feel like I'm ahead this game. I don't feel like I'm playing properly, I should say. These lings are just going to run up and die because I'm terrible at this game apparently. Losing 3 of them for nothing again. Those guys could have been drones. And he is throwing down a Dark Shrine, a pretty normal follow-up to a Twilight Council. That or Blink Stalkers. He's throwing down 3 gateways as well. He obviously has these timings down for these gateways to complete with warp gates at the same time that the Dark Shrine completes. Wouldn't be surprised to see this robo facility produce a warp prism so we can warp them in. But I was able to see the robotics facility with these lings. But if anything, that's going to kind of distract me from actually thinking DTs are coming. But I did play it safe. Now what I did in this situation, you can see I'm up to lair, I'm getting my 6 gases, I've still just got roaches, a little bit of upgrades for range, link speed coming. What I did do is I just conceded to the fact that I don't know what he has. I'm going to have to get a little bit of everything to try to stop it, and that's going to come into play here in a second. Dark Shrine getting close to finishing. These guys are going to become gateways, and after the Dark Shrine he probably wants to transition into Colossi and a 3rd base because he does have his robotics facility. We aren't going to see a warp prism because he does have a proxy pylon, and this is definitely an area I want to look out for as far as proxies go, like maybe around here, which I don't have scouted, and definitely in the 3rd base. So here comes the first DT warp in. And where is the Overseer? Do I have an Overseer anywhere to be seen? Yes, and this is where I was like, okay, I don't know what he's doing. Gonna get an Overseer just in case, and it was perfectly timed as well. 2 DTs going to my main, 1 going to my natural. I don't know if he's scouted my 3rd yet. No, he hasn't. But I only have 1 Overseer, so I'm going to have to split my forces. 1 Overseer at the natural, going to take that DT out. I don't have Overlord speed, so I don't think this other one's going to get there very fast. I'm going to have to pop that other one out. And he is going to force the cancellation of my Spire that was just starting. I started that Spire because I saw the Robo Bay and I wanted to get some Corruptors. Up goes the Infestation Pit. These DTs trying to run away and be pesky, but no, they are going to go down. And that Dark Templar attack successfully thwarted, partially due to my just poor scouting leading to me being overly cautious, getting that Overseer out. Now sitting on 3 base and 71 Harvesters. So now I'm in a very comfortable position, even going to pick off that Observer. Now, one thing I do like about Heart of the Swarm is that Overseer is a much more relevant unit, not only for Dark Templar, of course, but also for against Terran. Lots of Widow Mines, and it's kind of fun like having to make a bunch of Overseers to stick with your army because it feels like you're actually doing something with them. And I got a kind of a lucky scout here again, seeing that he's trying to be aggressive, and this is what I mean when I said in one of my earlier casts, like, you should never make Archons against Zerg unless the DTs are no longer surprising to your opponent, which they weren't, or your High Templar are out of energy and you need to do something with them. And that's the case here with JayB. He chose to make the Archons after he realized the element of surprise was gone. Let me just make some Archons and try to get some use out of these. Now, they are okay against some Zerg unit compositions, but in general, I feel good playing against Archons as a Zerg player. So, TOS players, let that be known. I love seeing Archons because they're generally not that great and they cost a lot of resources. So I'm still running off 3 base. I do want to think about getting a 4th base. As you can see, I'm going for Swarm Host. I'm going for Spire. I'm going for pretty much everything because at this point I know my 3rd base was, oh my gosh. Not only is that a disgusting sentence, but that is the wrong form of the word your, sir. Y-O-U-R is the possessive form. Your, as you spelt it, is you-are. So you're basically saying, I want you-are penis in and around my mouth. Anyway, you are now famous for being a vulgar child, which I have no problem with because I like talking about penises too. So anyway, what I was saying, the reason I'm spreading my text so thin is because I know I'm ahead in bases, I know I'm ahead in Harvesters because I've seen his 3rd base just now come up, and I want to have an answer to anything he might send at me. I stopped his DT attack, my economy's good. Let's prevent any kind of crazy shenanigans that he might throw at me. We can see some swarm hosts on the way, +2 attack and armor from my ranged units. I've got +1 going for the Spire. I can upgrade to a hive anytime I want. I'm taking my 4th. This 4th actually should have been a lot quicker, but it wasn't. That's just kind of a small mistake there. That doesn't matter too much because 3 base is still just fine. And the supply count is now 109 to 175, so looking pretty good there as well. If we look at JayB, we can see he is just going to go for the standard Void Ray Colossi build. You can start getting that up and running around 3 bases. His harvester count's pretty good. My harvester count could use some work, but I'm waiting for that 4th base to come. When you're on 4 bases, you don't really need any more than 16 workers at each base, so 18's a bit too much at my 3rd. Might consider doing a transfer here to my 4th. And just kind of posing to be a little bit aggressive, push into the 3rd, make him lose some units for free because Locusts are really good against Protoss that don't have Colossi, and see what happens. So I am a little bit far away. My creep store is actually decent this game. I do have 1 designated creep queen, which is always a good thing to have. And that's going to help my swarm hosts a lot. So picking off 1 Colossus, picking off a sentry, and this is really the magic of the swarm host, man. They can just kill so much for free. As I spread creep, they're going to be able to get further and further into my enemy's territory. He does have a nice blockade here. And keep in mind that if your locusts are some reason taking the long path to your opponent's base, it means there's a wall off. So you might want to like rally here and then specifically tell your locust to attack whatever the wall off is. So just continuing to send these locusts. Hive is on the way. Hydra range is on the way. Like I said, just getting every sort of tech available to me. Those Hydras will help against the Void Rays if he does get a critical amount of them. And just continuing to try to focus down this Nexus. JayB now trying to take a 4th base. I'm not sure if this is 4th base with the intention of macroing or a 4th base because he feels like he's going to lose his 3rd. But a sneaky little DT now coming to my 4th base. I have an Overseer and 2 Spines just kind of chilling there. Again, I don't want to get behind in this game when I know I'm so far ahead, so I'm going to cover all of my grounds, get some spores and spines at each base, get the air vision covered with the creep. I could probably send some overlords to cover the air vision as well. I mean like the airspace in between our bases. And now he's going to be moving out. He is spread thin on tech, and he did get a slow start, so this isn't the biggest army against what I have. And he's going to move in right when my locusts pop. I do have some roaches and locusts. Do I have any overseers? But he doesn't have any DT, so that doesn't even matter. These Void Rays just kind of chilling overhead, shooting down everything. So despite having a huge ground army and these locusts just tearing him apart, I don't have any Hydras for these Void Rays. I need to unburrow these swarm hosts and get the heck out of there. Start trading some Hydras. 17 Hydras on the way. Now, you do need to be careful. There's 1 Viper as well. You do need to be careful about overproducing Hydras when your opponent still has Colossi on the field. Because Void Rays will pretty much kill anything but Hydras. But the Colossi will just destroy the Hydras so fast, so be very careful about the Hydras if you don't have something to deal with the Colossi. In this case, the Swarm Host will be okay against the Colossi because he doesn't have a lot of support units for the Colossi. And of course I have the Viper who's now consuming my hatchery to pull a couple of those Colossi in. So he does have a 4th base about to be up and running. I should have an Overlord there pooping creep, but I didn't, so that's 1 mistake. Some DTs harassing my 5th base, so that's a good job by him, trying to be proactive about it. And some Zealots being sent into my base as well. Now, creep spread is the reason these Zealots aren't going to do a whole lot. I do have some Spines as well for DTs and any kind of weapons like this. And I was going to be sending in his Void Rays, knowing I didn't have any anti-air before, but I do have Hydras, and on creep, these Hydras are going to easily be able to take out these Void Rays. There's no point in JayB trying to run because they would not be able to run from Hydras on creep. Look at that, 3.4 speed or so. I want to check the speed of the Void Rays. Oh, and here comes another battle. No, just against Locust, 2.25 speed on those Void Rays. And this Viper is going to be grabbing 1 Colossus, grabbing a 2nd Colossus, and that's the support that your Vipers really need against a Protoss army like this. And remember, if you have a Viper at full energy, that's just enough energy to do 2 pulls. Actually, I think a pull is only 75 energy. So if you have 200 energy, you can do 2 pulls, and then in a little while you can do another pull. So he has denied my 5th base, but I've held him to 3 bases. This one isn't really up and running just yet. And I've eliminated his army. That's really the most important thing. Reducing that Colossus count and eliminating the army. And see how fast that Archon melted. I just do not like that unit. Right now I really need to be moving up my Swarm Hosts. As you can see, I'm just getting more roaches. Rallying roaches at this point when my money is so high, probably not the best thing to do, but I know they're cheap, they're fast, and they can tank a lot of damage. And when I've got them on the run like this, I just want to get units out fast. I don't really have to get the perfect composition at this point. I just really need to overwhelm him with a lot of units. You can see these locusts now going for his third base. They're going to be able to take down that Archon, that Nexus pretty easily, and he's forced to turtle up. While I can just kind of stand by my swarm host, continue to tech up. I do have 2 spires now, one being a greater spire. This base is going to go down soon. I do have 2 overseers over my army, so I've got that covered as well. He's just got an observer hanging out. He can't really saturate that base. He can't get probes there because I am covering the choke point. Now this Colossus, as you can see, I don't have my Viper in range. I don't even have a Viper to deal with this Colossus, and so he's going to do a lot more damage than he should with this. But the sheer unit count that I possess is just nothing he can do about it. I am going to pick off this robotics facility as well. Here comes the Viper. Abduct costing 75 energy, so you only need 150 with a Viper to abduct twice. You need 200 to use the blinding clouds twice. These locusts just tearing apart that third base. The second base getting ravaged by the Roach Hydra. And it's looking like JayB doesn't really have a prayer. You can see these DTs doing a pretty good job. I don't know where those overseers went. I think he picked them off deliberately and then just warped in DTs because he knew I didn't have any overseers left. Now I should be reinforcing with some more overseers somewhere. Here we go. There's the 4 overseers. And he's going to slice up my units a little bit, but as you can see from the base count, the supply count, and the resource count, he doesn't have a whole lot going for him. I've even got a lot of corruptors coming out that could become broodlords any second now. So if we recap this game, you can see it's about to finish. If we recap this game, it was really all about me just playing it safe, which isn't always the best thing to do. But I played it safe. I got Overseer to scout his Dark Templar, and then after that I had a pretty big lead, and I played it safe some more. I didn't want to lose my big lead to something like crazy DT warp-ins or any kind of timings or weird unit compositions, so I got a little bit of everything. I got Hydras, I got Swarm Hosts, I got a Spire, and that's really what won me the game. But you know, I definitely I definitely could have played better by scouting properly, and actually, that's really one of the only things I did wrong, was just not scouting properly, because if I did play safe against someone who was just macroing hard, he would be in the lead. But I got a little bit lucky, and I was able to take this game in pretty convincing fashion after the initial DT warp-in. So hope you guys enjoyed this and learned a little bit about it. I thought it was a pretty fun game to cast, so that's going to be it. So thanks for watching.